Question number one. This kind of question, now very commonly, I am going to change this question a little bit because I know this question is such, but a more common version of this question is sometimes they may ask you, what is y equals to ax k, for example. And they want you to give a possible value of k and a. Okay? Now, I need you to remember one thing. What is a? A refers to the coefficient of this function. It refers to the coefficient of this function. If it is positive, a, actually honestly the number, they are not testing you whether it is 2, it is 5, it is 10. They actually don't care. Most of the time, when we ask you for the value of a, we want you to tell us whether the a is positive or negative. Because if a, for example, if a is positive 1, the graph is very different from when a is negative 1. Okay? Do you guys remember? If this is negative 1, what is going to happen? It will be a reflection across the x-axis. Okay? So in this case, of course, the answer is given. Actually, a is 1. But if the question actually gives you this graph, that means in the exam, they give you a, why is it not working? If the exam, they give you a graph like this, like that. Okay? If they give you a graph like this, what is the value of a? Negative 1. Okay, you must know this thing at the back of your fingertips. Okay? That's why I only ask you to memorize all of the positive one. Okay, when the coefficient of a is positive, I ask you to memorize all of them. If you've forgotten, go back and watch the video. Okay, I've already summarized it. Go refer your notes. Just need to memorize the positive one. If you notice that there is a shape that looks a little bit different from what you have been memorizing, it could be that the coefficient of a is just negative. Okay? Next thing, what is the value of k? Then this one is all about memorizing already. Right? What function is this? What power function is this? You can go through your head. Right? If k is 1, y equals to x. What kind of graph will it look like? Y equals to x. It will look like a graph like this. Correct? Then if it's 2, if it's not 1, y equals to x squared, how will it look like? Like this. Correct? Then how about when y equals to x cubed? The first part it looks like this, the second part it will go downwards. It looks like this. So does this graph look like any of this? No. Then some of you stuck already, I don't know how to do already. Because I really went through this to the power 1, 2, 3. Then you've forgotten, we actually learn about negative, right? The value of k can be negative. So what is when it's negative, how does it look like? Okay? Y equals to x to the power of negative 1. This, we can write this as a positive index. It is of the form 1 over x. How does the graph look like? Exactly like this. Okay? Now, what about y equals to x negative 2? It looks like this. Then how will the graph look like? Remember I told you guys, look at the powers. If it's even, then the shape is the same, just that both of this side will just go down. Okay, but it is above the x-axis because it's always positive. Okay, you just have to remember all the positive version. If you see a version that is different from the one that you memorize, just note that the coefficient of a is probably negative. Okay? Now, this is not tested. This is not tested. We never test you y equals to x to the power of negative 3. We never. Okay? But, if you do this, what shape is this? It is also this shape. Ladies and gentlemen, it's also this shape. Okay? This is also this shape. So for this question, if you give me k is negative 1 or negative 3, I will mark you correct. Okay, I will mark you correct because actually both are really this shape. But we never test in EMAT. Okay, we never test the negative power 3. Never. Alright? Then next one, sketch the graph of y equals to x to the power of 3. This one I just went through with you. But be very careful for this one. It should gradually go up. But some of you did this. Some of you did this. Okay? No, not like this. Some of you did this. This part too straight. You don't get the marks. It should just gradually go up. Like it's still going up. The other side gradually go down like it's still going down. Okay? It should not like suddenly become so steep until it becomes like a straight line like that. Okay, it shouldn't be. Okay, it should go up but it's still going up. Alright? So something like that. Just be very mindful about all these things. Okay? Okay, now let us go on to this part. Now question 2a, actually they are not very clear because they never say find the value of w and they ask you to leave in one decimal place or leave it as exact. So I accept both answers. But don't worry, the exam will be very clear. Okay, so some of you actually read here and say that hey, the table actually leaves everything in one decimal place. Maybe I should leave in one decimal place. Okay, so I give you marks for wherever you leave in one decimal place or you leave as an exact. Okay, both are acceptable. But don't worry, the exam will be very clear. Okay, will be very clear for you. Okay, then for part B, plot the point. Some of you cannot plot, cannot see. Okay, this one I cannot help you lah. My only tip to you is that when you are plotting the points, okay, when you are plotting the points, okay, you should have, remember the features that I tell you after you plot the points. Sometimes you may not know exactly where the thing is, but you know that one box has 10, right, 10 small squares. So each big square is 10 blocks and it represents 2 units, so 1 is 0.2. Okay, that is the starting point. So, I also told you right before you did the exam that if you sketch the graph and you realize that your graph is a little bit funny, then you know that something is wrong already. Go back again and recalculate or replot the points. Okay? Because if your graph is wrong, everything else at the bottom is wrong. So some of you failed the exam not because you don't know how to do. In fact, most of your workings are correct. But because the graph that you have plotted is wrong, everything from the bottom all wrong. Okay, so that is something that you really need to take care of. There is no error carried forward for that, I'm sorry. Okay, so what are the things that we are looking out for? Number one, not a perfect graph, but your lines, you notice that every single point, the lines must cut through every single point. It should not have any gapping holes or gaps. Okay, should not have any gapping holes or gaps. You can either, if you cannot do freehand, like I said, what do? Go and invest in a curved ruler. Go and practice using a curved ruler. Okay, to each their own. Everyone here is different. Okay, I'm not here to tell you that this method is the best because there's no such thing. We are all different. Some of you prefer to use freehand, some of you prefer to use curved ruler, some of you prefer to use French curve. Go ahead and do whatever you want. But most importantly, the rules are very simple. The line must cut through everything. It must be a smooth curve. Not a straight line. Not straight line. Okay, must be a curve. Okay, let's move on. By drawing a tangent, find the gradient of the curve at x equals to 1.5. This one, I think 90% of you got it. I'm very happy. But just a small percentage of you didn't get it. Okay, so x equals 1.5. We just need to follow. Where is 1.5? 1.5 is over here. On the graph, 1.5 is over here. So you just need to take a ruler and just roughly put, not roughly, but really try your best to find that the gap over here is roughly the same as the gap over here. So this one, of course, you have to do a little bit of aggregation. There's really nothing I can help you. Okay? We recognize that we know that we are not computers. None of us, even if you are off by 1 degree or 2 degrees, your answer will be very different from your friend. No one will have the exact same answer. So you look around you, most of you will never get the same answer, and it's okay. I accepted a range of answers. Okay, but the method is the most important. So once we figure out that this is the place that we want to be, okay, you notice there's a gap because if I do it on an iPad, funny one. Okay, there will be a, nah, it's very smooth, but when I use the ruler, there's a gap. Alright, so at this point, you should only touch it at one point. That is the key thing I'm looking out for. How do I find the gradient? I just need to choose any 2 points. Okay, any 2 points will do. So for example here, I don't think I got any nice points. Actually I do. Alright, because I just choose any 2 points. Actually this point is nice, this one is also quite nice. So I can probably choose these 2 coordinates. Okay, so this coordinate here is 1.5, negative 4. This coordinate here is 1, negative 6. Alright, so I can find the gradient is negative 4 minus negative 6 over 1.5 minus 1. Now another key thing that I want you guys to take note, after you calculate your gradient, some of you actually got a negative gradient. Can it be negative or not, ladies and gentlemen? This is an upward sloping line, for goodness sake. It slopes upwards. How can you get negative? Gradient negative means what? Downward sloping. Okay, so these are things that you must check, okay, to see whether you are right. So I got negative 4 plus 6 divided by 1.5 minus 1. What do I get? I got 4. Okay, but some of you got different answers from me. It is okay. But make sure the gradient is positive. Double check. Positive means the upward sloping line. Is it true? It is true. Awesome. Okay, so you have confidence in your results. Many a times when you make mistakes, it's because sometimes when you have the negative 4 minus 6, some of you tend to take it as negative 4 minus 6. A very common mistake. Sometimes I'm also victim of that. Okay, but it's important that when you have your final answer, you double check. Is it positive? If it's positive, then okay, we can have confidence that our answer is okay. Okay, let's quickly move on. So that is the part C. Next one. By drawing a suitable line, use your graph to find the solution to the equation. This one I already told you, you have to compare. Okay, you have to compare this equation over here with the one that is given. You realize that it is exactly the same. What does it mean when they say they want this graph to be equals to 4? They are actually finding the point of intersection. Remember? They are actually finding the point of intersection of this graph and another graph. So actually all you need to do in this case, some of you don't know what to do, you must draw the line of y equals to 4. So you go back to your graph over here and you are supposed to just draw a line of y equals to 4. Alright, so you're supposed to draw a line over here. Your answer is actually the point of intersection of these 2 points. So this is your answer. Okay, this one you should get about 2 point. What is this? Let's see, let's count. Okay, this 2.5. This I got 10. So each small box is 0.05, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 6. Okay, so for my case, I got about maybe 2.8. Okay, roughly about 2.8. Okay, so this one again, I accept a range of answers. Maybe some of you got 2.6, some of you got 2.7. Okay, we are quite flexible in it. Like I said, we are not computers. Okay, so we do accept a range of answers. But this is how you would roughly do it in the exam as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one. On the same axis, draw the line of this. Now, how to draw the line of this? The first one, this is a line, we can change it to the form y equals to mx plus c, so I'll do that. Y equals to 3.5x minus 5.5. Okay, basically I just change it to the form y equals mx plus c. If I want to draw this line, what I can do is, there are 2 methods that I taught you. Okay, there are 2 methods that I taught you. Number 1, you just mark 2 points and then draw 1 line. Okay, that is the method that I do because I'm confident. Okay, but if you really want to be sure that you don't make mistakes, I recommend that you go for 3 points. Okay, so you can either just choose 2 points because in order for you to draw a line, 2 points is all you need. But if you really want to be sure, you want to get 100% of the marks, you don't want to make any mistakes, you mark out 3 points. Alright, so I'll show you how you can mark out 3 points. All you need to do, draw a table of values. Okay, like this. This is a table of values, right? But you will draw a mini one. Okay, a mini one. So you will say that this is my x, this is my y. I just need to have a few points. Maybe one of the points is when 0. I have y as 5.5. I choose another point, maybe at -1. If my x is -1, I substitute inside 3.5 times -1 minus 5.5. That gives me negative 9. And I choose another one, maybe I choose at 1. Okay, so I'm going to get 3.5 minus 5.5. And I'm going to get negative 2. Okay, so I just need to plot these 3 points on the graph. This one, more than 1/3 of you don't know how to do. Okay, so please make sure you know how to do now. Okay, so for this one, just plot the points. Negative 1, negative 9. So the first point, negative 1, negative 9. In the middle, this point over here. And the next one is 0 and 5.5. Okay, so 0 and 5.5, 0 is here. 5.5 is in the middle over here, somewhere over here. And then I have one more point, 1 and negative 2. 1 and negative 2 is over here. Alright, so I just need a ruler. I go through these 3 points. Okay, now what is the indication that you are correct? If you put a ruler and it goes through these 3 points very nicely, you know that you did something right. But in case you put a ruler and you realize that, for example, this point, you got a point over here, then you know that this point is an outlier. So you know something is wrong already. So you need to go back to your calculation, your table of values again, and recalculate. Did you substitute wrongly somehow? Did you do that? Okay, if you didn't, then maybe something went wrong somewhere. Okay, so all you have to do, just use a ruler, a straight line. Okay, just go through all of the points. Okay. Okay, on an iPad I cannot go all the way. Let's try to see whether that's possible. Let's do part by part. Okay, I can't go all the way, but let me try to answer the next question. I don't waste too much time. Okay, so write down the x coordinates where the line intersects the curve. Okay, this part let me try to finish at least one part. Okay, so we just need to find what is the coordinates where they start to intersect. Okay, the points where they intersect. So they will intersect at, I think, about this point as well. Okay, if you extend the line. So you just need to read off the values. You extend the line until the points that they intersect, and you just need to write down the answer over here. Okay, you just need to write down the value of x over here. Alright? I think for those of you who draw the line, this one not too difficult. Most of you here are competent on reading off. So this one I'm not too worried. Okay, the next part. None of you got it right. Okay, this is the one that I really want to go through. These value of x are the solution of the equation, this thing. So find the values of b and the values of c. So how are we going to do that? Okay, this one actually don't even need to use the graph at all. Don't even need to use the graph. They actually tell us that the intersection, okay, the intersection of the line, which is this line over here, and the curve, okay, is the solution to this. So actually all we need to do is let these two equations equal to each other. The line is 3.5x minus 5.5. We are going to let it equals to the curve 2 over 5 x cubed plus x minus 7. Okay, we are going to let these two functions equal to one another. Okay, so what is next? I'm going to bring everything over to one side. So I'm going to get 2 over 5x cubed plus x minus 7. I bring everything over to one side, minus 3.5x plus 5.5 equals to 0. So I simplify. This and this is like terms. 1 minus 3.5. So I'm going to get 2/5 minus 2.5x. Negative 7 plus 5.5. That gives me negative 1.5 equals to 0. Now, when I compare this thing, okay, when I compare this thing, this is 2 over 5, this is 4. How can I make this equals to 4? How? What do I have to multiply here? If you don't know what to multiply, just take 4 divided by 2 over 5. Okay, so you can try. 4 divided by 2 over 5 is 10. Does it make sense? If I multiply 2 over 5, 2 over 5 is just 0.4, right? If you multiply 0.4 by 10, will you get 4? Yes, you do. So I'll multiply by 10. I'm going to get this whole thing. I multiply by 10. 4x cubed minus 25x minus 15 equals 0. So what is B? What is C? Okay, in this case, my B is negative 25. My C is negative 15. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all, folks. Do you get some answer? You substitute the values you got. They never ask you to use the graph. Close. Yeah. Hey, this one is this question, right, is a O-level question. It came out one time before. Okay, this one is a O-level question. Okay. Like I said, sometimes O-level, right, might be a little bit more difficult. This is considered as one of the more difficult kind of O-level questions that sometimes will come out. Okay, this one is considered to be one of the more difficult ones. Alright, okay.